Sir, good evening.
Good evening, ji. Good
Uh,
evening, Pradeep ji.
we are discussing about your book. The revolutionaries shed their blood for India's independence,
Yes, that's
and
right.
we have discussed chapter of your book, the Indian
Hmm.
War of Independence, 1857.
Yes.
In continuity of that, we are now going to talk about other significant revolutionaries who contributed in the freedom struggle.
After
So one name
Tharaguru.
that comes in your book is Satguru Baba Ram Singh
Hanji.
of Kukka Namdhari movement.
Hanji.
So could you please
Uh,
throw some light on him?
yes. Pradeep ji, it's at the end of the first chapter. It is written that the
Hmm.
Indian War of Independence was lost, but the seed
Mhm.
sown for the revolutionary movement started to grow immediately after 1857, seeking independence of our dear motherland from the alien rulers. So, so far as Baba Ram Singh, Satguru Baba Ram Singh is concerned, he was born in village Pani in 1816. He had joined the
Mhm.
military of Maharaja Ranjit Singh only three
Huh,
years
Hanji.
before, only 3 years uh, before the death of Sardar Baba Maharaja Ranjit Singh.
Mhm.
Or thereafter, he saw that the Sikhs have lost four wars of independence, and in 1945, the British had uh, overpowered the British, the Sikhs also. So he uh, resigned from the INA and started the Kuka movement on April 14, 1857. That is only 6 days after the hanging of Mangal Pandey. So Kuka movement was directed, it was Swadeshi movement, preference for Swadeshi articles and cow protection, and simplified the religious ceremonies. It was virtually a non-cooperation movement with the British because they refused to avail the facilities provided by the British regarding the supply of henna and for cow protection. Baba Ram Singh's influence increased so much that by 1863, well, only 6 years after he started this movement, about 40,000 followers joined his movement. So they ultimately, when supposing letter was sent to be one place to another, they deployed their own people. They didn't use the post office of the government or letters or postage, etc. Or it was growing. But in the early 1871, the Baba Brahm Singh, Namtari Brahm Singh, who was a disciple of Baba Satkur Baba Ram Singh, he encouraged the people and said that be ready for the war with British. So the British was afraid of them. And earlier also, Mr. Taylor, Commissioner of Ambala, had informed the higher authorities that someday these lads, means Kukas, mean war sooner or later. When 18 October 1871, the British started encouraging the Muslims to cut the cows, so which was against the theory of Baba Ram Singh. So whenever the Mughals they cut the cows, and they also killed the Mughals also. So ultimately, about Baba's following had become in October 71 4 lakhs, and they were also in touch with the government of Kashmir and Nepal. एंड बट जो काउ स्लैटर हुआ तो अमृतसर में तो 15 जून 1871 को अबाउट 40 नामधारी वर were killed. Later on, the case was also started against Baba Ram Singh and his Kuka followers. And the earlier also Rai Court in the village Rai Court in Punjab, Ludhiana district, they had killed the Muslims who were slaughtering the cows, and then they were hanged to death. In Maler Kotla, they had they had uh, they were they were blown off with cannons. So in January 1872, 72, Baba was case was started against Baba Satguru Ram Singh also for these reasons, and he was deported to Burma at that time, Rangoon, and which is now called Myanmar. And the other, some of the revolutionary Kuka followers, they were sent to deported to Andamans, Port Blair, and then the parties they were not recognized as freedom fighters. Then the MPs across the parties, all the parties, they asked the government to recognize their services as freedom fighters. It was only in December 13, 2008, that Kuka movement was recognized as a freedom struggle, and the persons were awarded small pension.
And how did he lose his life, Baba Ram Singh?
Baba Ram Singh died in the jail in
Acha.
Rangoon itself. In Rangoon itself.
Okay, okay,
Mm,
okay, okay, sir.
mm.
And next we come to Vasudev Balwant Phadke.
हाँ जी.
So
Eh,
could you
he
give
was,
me the highlights?
yes, he Vasudev Balwant Phadke was born on November 4th, 1845. He had joined the British service in Defense Department, and in 1965. So when his mother fell ill, he applied for a leave. The leave was refused. He applied to senior officers, and ultimately the senior officer, when granted the leave, by that time his mother was dead. So therefore, Balwant Phadke, some revolt was born in his heart, and he started movement against the British government. Bal Gangadhar Tilak had not yet come into politics or public life, but Balwant Phadke was the first rebel against the foreign rulers. He started criticizing the financial policy of the British, and also gave the call for liberty of motherland. In February 1879, and a number of persons, patriots, joined his movement. And when he left the house by telling his wife, "Our country will soon become free, and then we will meet again." Thereafter, when he launched this campaign against the country, the British government was frightened. They issued a proclamation calling for his arrest, and promise some award to be given to that person who brings Fatke before the police. Fatke was such a brave gentleman, brave revolutionary, that he issued a counter advertisement that he will award double the prize who will catch hold of the governor of Punjab, governor of Maharashtra, and produce before him, or the session judge to produce one before him. Ultimately, when he thought that we have to fight, they needed weapons. When they went to the merchants or business people to give some money so that they may purchase the weapons, but they were refused. Ultimately, they had to commit dacoities in order to get money for purchasing of weapons. So, two or three companions of Balwant Phadke were killed, Ultimately, in July 1879, he was also arrested by the British police. A case that he was tried, and ultimately he was deported to Aden, because the government was afraid that if he sent to Kalapani, then he will incite the persons already sent there, and it would be dangerous for the government to control the situation. So Eden, he tried to escape from the jail, but he was rearrested and he died in the jail on February 17, 1883 in Aden. The people asked the Nehru government to declare him a martyr and give his family, the family of all those Balwant Phadke and his companions, to the pension in the as a Sanman of his struggle for freedom. But the government refused to do so. So, unfortunately, he was not listed in the list of freedom fighters.
Nice. Okay, sir. And next is Birsa Munda.
Hanji. Birsa
So,
Munda,
what was his major contribution, Birsa Munda?
Birsa Munda was a scheduled tribe of Jharkhand. He was born in November 15, 1875. So their house was a kacha house. It was built by bamboos. Uh, he, the British missionaries, they were converting the tribals into Christianity, and they announced that who will join Christianity would be given their land back, which was captured by the British government. So his brother had already become Christian before his birth even, and but he started hating the Christianity and started advising the people of Adivasis of Jharkhand not to turn into Christianity and adopt their own faith of Hinduism and all the rituals of Hindu religion. Ultimately, he was arrested by the British government and he was in 1895 and he was sent to jail for 2 years. He remained in jail, but when he came back, he was welcomed by the people. He got the miraculous power of treating the injured or a person who was suffering from diseases. But his main people was to keep the people away from Christianity and to remain in Hinduism. And ultimately, when Jharkhand was separated by the from Bihar state, it was done on November 15, 2000, because that was the birthday of Birsa Munda. Even now, recently, the government of India has declared to celebrate November 15, 2022 as Janjatiya Gaurav Divas on Birsa Munda's birthday every year. This year was the first year, but every year they were declared. Uh, it was celebrated on 2021, and they said it would be celebrated from 2002 onwards.
So
So that was his.
it was considered a crime that he did not allow conversion of Hindus to Christianity.
Yes, yes. The
This
British
was
thought that he was their main enemy who was stopping the people from converting into Christianity.
so under what section of the law it came to be punished?
The British government did not require any law. When they found that some person is ultimately they convicted that they punished him that he was exhorting the people to go against the British government.
Acha. So British government was encouraging the conversion.
Ah, yes, that's right. That's
Acha.
right.
Okay, sir. And next is Chapekar brothers.
Hanji, Chapekar brothers.
So what
They
was
were
their?
Chapekar brothers were three brothers, and main Chapekar was born on June 15, 1869. So in village, they were residing in village Chinchwad in Chinchwad, an area of Maharashtra. Uh, there was a plague. It was known as bubonic plague. It was so serious that more dangerous than even COVID-19. So when the people used to take one dead body to the cremation ground, and on return they found another person has also died. So therefore, every family lost one or two persons in every family. So ultimately, the Chapekar brothers formed an organization, Society for the Removal of Obstacles. The government formed a plague committee to bring the disease under control, and this committee was headed by Walter Charles Rand, a British who was district magistrate of Pune. But this committee also misused this opportunity. Instead of stopping the disease from taking place, they used to enter any house and get the men, women, or girls naked on the ground that they want to see if they are suffering from plague or not. It was highly objected by the people, and they also made complaints to the district magistrate. But district magistrate didn't care for this, and ultimately, when the Queen Victoria's coronation, Diamond Jubilee, on the Diamond Jubilee day of coronation of Maharani Victoria, fell on June by 1897. They were celebrating it, and Chapekar brothers had decided to kill the man who is a district magistrate. They shot it. They shot him, and at the time, the security guard of Rand district magistrate was killed at the spot. And Rand was taken to hospital, and he died on the way. Uh, there he couldn't reach hospital, or he may have died in the hospital itself. They were held guilty, trial was held, and they were hanged to death. Chapekar brothers.
So from these incidents, I feel that Britishers were no less brutal than Mughals.
They were more brutals. They were brutals both for Hindus and Mughals. Mughals were also brutal in their own sense. They were destroying the temples, they were killing the people, looting the people, demolishing the temples. But British didn't adopt that type. British only started converting the Hindus into Christianity, and purchasing raw material from here, taking it to Britain, and bringing the finished goods and selling it here. And their nature of torture was different than the torture of Mughals adopted by the Mughals. The Mughals had adopted very dangerous way of torture.
So they had, I think, a double-edged strategy. That on the
Huh,
one hand they were looting, on the other
huh,
hand they were making the people to align with themselves through
that is
conversion.
right.
Through
Huh,
conversion,
yeah,
so that
that's right. So that
they can
Christianity may
achieve
spread
so
into.
they can achieve their targets in a simple manner.
हाँ जी बिल्कुल that's right.
Okay, and next is Shyamji Krishna Verma.
हाँ जी. Shyamji
So
Krishna Varma was also a very noble man. He was a revolutionary at heart. He was born in somewhere in 1857 itself. He was born in a village falling in north in Gujarat's Govardhan. He was married to Bhanumati. He was a great scholar in Sanskrit and other Indian languages. So he shifted to his village was he went to England and by earning his own money he was rich and he opened the India House in London for the Indian students so that they could come and stay there and also instituted two scholarships so that the poor Indians, but intellectual, they can come to London and read and further study and also see the in the open air of independent country like England. So ultimately in 2006, 1906, 1906, Bal Gangadhar Tilak recommended the name of Veer Savarkar for stay in India House and also to avail the scholarship. So in June 1906, Veer Savarkar reached there and there he studied the literature from the British Library and archaeology. And he gathered, he was the first person to declare the War of 1857 as Indian War of Independence 1857. Otherwise, the British were calling it a mutiny, and we Indians were calling it a Gadar. So there was the book when was written, it was not possible to get it published in London. He packed it in the bundle and wrote the names of kickbooks, child boy toys, etc. करके he sent out the jurisdiction of British people and get it published. When it was published, it ignited the revolution, the youth people to become revolutionaries. So much was the impact of this book because he was all praised for the martyrs of 1857 and he encouraged the young people to fulfill the dream of their ancestors. So ultimately, it was in India House that Madanlal Tingda was also the product of India House. He was the follower of Veer Savarkar. He said that if Savarkar remains alive, he can produce 100 this Madanlal Tingdas. But if one Savarkar dies, 100 Tingdas cannot constitute even one Veer Savarkar. So ultimately, Madanlal Tingda was so much inspired by the patriotism uh, encouraged by Veer Savarkar that on that he shot that Jackson, Mangal Pandey. So Krishan Verma was had shifted from India to this Paris. And after Ingda committed the murder of that Jackson, then he instituted two more scholarships. And
Mhm.
in 1910, Veer Savarkar also reached Paris. So both Shyamji Krishan Verma and Lala Hardyal, they were telling Veer Savarkar not to go back to London because there he would feel torture, as his name was also included by the British government in Bombay murder case. So therefore, ultimately Veer Savarkar prevailed. He came back to London and he was tried. That is later subject. But here, Shyamji Krishan Verma had again shifted from Paris to Geneva, where he died. uh, on March 30, 1930, but he wrote a will that when India becomes independent, his ashes be taken to India, free India, independent India. It was neither Nehru nor Indira Gandhi nor Rajiv Gandhi. It was only Narendra Modi, Honorable Narendra Modi, as Chief Minister of Gujarat. He brought back the ashes of Shyamji Krishan Verma from Geneva to his own village, to the village of Shyamji Krishan Verma, and in village Mandvi. Mandvi was the village of Shyamji Krishan Verma, and he also raised, Modi Sahab also raised a memorial known as Kranti Tirtha in that village Mandvi. So he died. He encouraged the revolutionary to reach London and to uh, and propagated revolutionary and encouraged the people by founding India House and instituting scholarships, which also led to the great encouragement to the revolutions.
At that time, was there a tradition of passport and visa?
Possibly not, because we were also British people, and we were going to the British people. At that time, visa passport was not required. And anybody who was living either in British or British colonies, because India was a British colony, so therefore no visa or passport was required.
To go to England or to Paris or to any other country?
That's right.
Okay. And his Swamiji Krishna Verma role was that he wanted the people or intelligentsia of India to get educated in England and
Hanji.
influence the Indian intelligentsia over there,
Yes, that
so that they can come back and participate in freedom movement,
movement. Yes, that's right.
because they were powerful people and they had a lot of influence, so
Hanji.
they could motivate people better.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So
Thank
nice of you for your valuable information about these freedom
thank
fighters.
you. Thank you, Pradeep.